So your first season here is over and done with, and it's the summer. But how are you evaluating it now? You've come out the other side.
I think it's been, and I apologise, I have to change the time frame every time I answer this question, but it's now the fastest 8 months of my life in terms of how quickly things have gone. But overall, I'm really happy with where we are now. Over the moon when we achieved staying up in League One, because I know it's been a tough season on and off the pitch, so it's been really, really important that we did that. From a personal point of view, I'm really happy here. It's been brilliant how the chairman's welcomed me to the club, the staff have been amazing, the players and the fans, everybody has just been so welcoming to me since I've been here, so it's been really enjoyable. There's obviously been highs and lows throughout the season, but I think we're now in a place where we can actually look forward rather than looking back, which is kind of where we were when we first met and spoke 8 months ago.
Yeah, how would you kind of assess your time here? Like I said, there's been a lot going on, and I'm sure we'll talk about that in a little bit, but just how would you kind of assess the season just gone for you?
I think if I step away from the football side, because that's not always my remit, you have to look at what we set out to achieve when I came through the door, and that was all about, we thought that we potentially weren't communicating enough as a football club. We were definitely not in the best financial position. We'll probably come on to that in the conversation, but I think if we were to mark our own homework, as it were, at this stage, we would say we think we've definitely moved in the right direction in terms of communication. There's still steps that we can do to improve that, and that's happening every day. The off-season probably gives us more time to focus on that as well. If we then look at the financial position, we've obviously rode a lot of the been through a lot of the conversations that we needed to have. There's more that need to happen, but if you think just in what have we done to try and engage the fan base, to try and improve our commercial side of the business, I'd be happy with the progress that we've made so far. But again, there is more work to be done in that department.
Yeah, obviously you touched on the financial side of it. So the accounts came out a month ago. How would you assess that? Obviously we can see the numbers and the concerning things that you spoke about before. From your perspective, from the inside, how do you assess that?
Well, I didn't come into this role with my eyes shut. We understood that there was issues. That's why the changes had to be made at the end of last season. And I think, given the fullness of time, people are now aware more of why those changes were made, and everything that we've done to communicate since I walked through the door, and even before that, when Mickey spoke, was about we've got to be more sustainable. If you play that back into the communication strategy, every time we talk, that's one of the messages. So if any supporters were shocked that we had a very poor financial year, I'd be surprised, or I'd like to think they weren't surprised, because of the amount of times we'd told people that that was going to be the situation. I think what might have been the shock to people was the extent of how bad it was, but we're now on the journey of trying to make that better every day. Given the nature of how contracts work, whether that be players, whether that be business, whether that be any contracts that we've inherited, there will continue to be losses until we get out of that period. What we've got to do now is focus on, we've addressed a lot of those, we've got to focus on what we can change every day to make sure that the next year and the budget that we've now built for the ongoing year puts us in a lot better place. It won't fix itself overnight, it will be a long process, but ultimately that's why I'm here, that's why we've got the new team that's around us, to try and make sure that we're in the best possible place we are when we're having this conversation in a year's time.
Yeah, obviously the club has long been prided on being a sustainable club at this level. But what went wrong in that time where the losses have been incurred?
I think the amount of, if you look at the AGM, for example, the chairman went into detail as to what had happened, the overspend, and if you look at any football club in the country, the biggest line on your overheads is the players, and the playing budget was way in excess of where it needed to be sustainable at this level. Where we need to be right now is to readdress that. We think we've got a fantastic recruitment team behind us to make sure that we can still remain to be competitive, but with a sustainable budget, rather than where we had been in previous years with some of the players and some of the overspends that we'd been having as a football club.
spoke about trying to get out of that. How long do you envisage that will take to get back into the red?
I wish I had the magic wand. I wish I could tell you exactly, or to tell you exactly a number of that. But to use another analogy, how long's a piece of string? Every day that we make better decisions, hopefully speeds up that process to get back to a better position. We are at a transition period now, in that a lot of our, it's well documented, a lot of our higher earning players have now left the football club, and we thank them for their service. We now have to look at what we do to make sure that that number comes down over the year. Will that readdress everything overnight? No, it won't, but there's other factors at play that can potentially help us. We know there's the Premier League deal, or much talked about Premier League deal, and whether it will or won't happen, something like that, we can't budget for it at the moment because it's been budgeted for in the past, and that's been one of the problems that we've had. Now we have a situation where we want that to happen as soon as possible, so that ourselves and the rest of the football pyramid get more money that we think we deserve, that will then readdress the situation financially for not only Shrewsbury Town but for lots of clubs throughout the EFL.
Yeah, I guess the main number that came out of accounts from that was obviously the 3 million, the loss. What do you say to fans, because that is a concerning number for any fan to see of the football club? What would you say to fans that can see that?
I think if you looked up and down the football pyramid, the EFL, League One, League Two, while that is a big number in anybody's language, in the football terms, we're definitely not the worst offenders out there. Because of the way the chairman's ran the club over the 28 years he's been here, we've been held up as one of the most sustainable and well-run football clubs within the EFL. So when we see a number like that, it is really alarming. And I think it's anybody else who was looking at the club right now probably wouldn't even see that as an issue. It's only because we've been run so well previously that we now need to get back to a situation where we've had a blip for a couple of years. Some of it, unfortunately, was due to COVID. The backlog of that was then in effect, and now we've had that couple of years where we've not quite managed our books, managed our finances as we should have. But now we can only look forward and do our best to try and change that. And thankful that we have got the chairman and Duncan who are there to support the club in a tough time where it is now.
Yeah, are Roland and Duncan still putting money into the club as of now?
I think I kind of alluded to it in my previous answer, is things don't get fixed overnight. We can't go from a £3 million loss one season and then we're technically a year behind that now and suddenly we go, oh no, it's fixed. There's still contractual situations with suppliers, with players that have meant that we are still losing money. We're making less losses now than what we were before, but that will still continue to be so. And while we're at this stage and while we're looking for new investment, that's where the money at the moment, any shortfall that we have, is coming from them supporting the football club.
Yeah, you spoke in January about looking for new investment. Has anything more come of that in the last 4 or 5 months?
I think I'd almost refer you back to the how long's a piece of string answer, but I think a lot of clubs, a lot of investors in and around football are circling around football clubs. There's only 72 clubs out there in the EFL, and not all of those are for sale. So I've kind of said this before, that the chairman is always looking for succession. He wants the people that come in to have the best interests of this football club at heart, and the people that come and speak to us will always say, oh, we've got this person or that person who wants to come and have a conversation. But it's getting from that stage where you're speaking to an agent to actually being sat in front of someone who, does that person actually exist, or is it someone just wanting to see what's out there in the market? Where we are at the moment, I think the fact of achieving that League One status, I think a lot of investors were waiting for that to see what leagues certain clubs were in. But as we sit here now, there's nothing imminent. There's obviously been ongoing conversations prior to the end of the season. There's more ongoing conversations at the moment, but there's nothing other than expressions of interest at this point, and there's nothing imminent. As I've said previously on my open letters, if there will be, we'll do our best to communicate that to fans as we move forward.
I suppose there's a difference between people expressing interest in you and you actively looking for new people. Are you actively looking Are you going out and reaching out to people?
Yeah, and when I say the club's seeking, I suppose it is down to wording, but has been seeking new investment for 10 years. And that was potentially was investment, now it is succession. It's a conversation that if you divide your day up into it, are you saying we're doing this amount of time looking? But no, we're not, but we're always on the front foot and having those conversations. If we get introduced to people or there's somebody there and you think, do you know what, let's have a conversation. The club are pushing on with that as we speak.
You spoke as well about looking to increase the revenue. How are you planning on doing that?
Well, hopefully we've got a lot of sponsors listening, because we're coming into the sponsorship renewals time for people at the moment. We've got some fantastic sponsors out there, really, that have supported the club for a number of years. Some actually have been here 10, 15 years, some are more recent, but every one of them, the support they give us financially and sometimes with services as well, is massive for us. And we're sitting now about to go into those negotiations and conversations with people, and it's a thank you from us, and it's probably the time when we say, look, what more can we do for you in exchange for what more can you give to us? Because if we can squeeze our current sponsors to support us with more financially, that will make a big difference. We've recently, we're just about to announce we've got a new business development manager who will then come in and work with our existing commercial team to go and not just squeeze the current sponsors that we have as much as we can, to go and bring new people in, keep putting more people in at the top of the funnel, so that if we do unfortunately lose people along the way, we've got a wider net of sponsors that we can go to that help us. If we can put that money, as I always say at every interview, put money on the top line, save money on the bottom line. But when we've got a commercial team working at its capacity, we needed to put someone in to support them at the top, and that's happening at the moment to make sure that we've got people out there spreading the word of Shrewsbury Town. Day to day, we're trying new things all the time. We did our first Match One shirts raffle, our first Match One shirts auction. We've got Play on the Pitch that's paying for the pitch renovations. We've brought the events back. We've got lots of things that are happening day in, day out to try and increase that revenue as much as possible. Some of them might only bring in £500, £2,000, but if you add all that together, that's what's going to make the difference when you put all that together for how we become more sustainable in the future.
So you spoke about the budget earlier, and I guess it's a fine balance. And looking at the teams that are going to be in League One next season, there's going to be some big budgets with clubs coming up and coming down. I guess, how do you get the balance between being competitive and being sustainable at the same time?
First of all, it doesn't get any easier, does it? You think, oh, Derby have gone from a budget perspective, and you think, oh, it's a little bit easier, and then Birmingham come down. So obviously that's great for the supporters and the derbies and things that will happen as a result of that. But you look at the teams that the three that are confirmed at the moment, have all got big budgets. So that makes it more, football is around what you can do with the money you have available. From our perspective, we have what we believe is a fantastic set of people out there at the moment recruiting for our football club. We've got a director of football that knows every player that's pretty much played in the EFL and non-league for God knows how many years. You've got a head coach that's managed over 700 games. You've got an assistant to the head coach who's also been there, seen it, done it at that level, knows everybody in the game. So, and the guys that are behind the scene recruiting, this is where they earn the money. They can go and hopefully find us some hidden gems. They can go and look at different markets, and they can pull together as a team to make sure we are as competitive as we can be for the size of the club that we are within what will be yet again a really tough division next season. So we've just got to do the best that we can do.
I guess that brings me on to my next question of, obviously the league position last season, finishing 19th, with the increase in everyone else's budget, and obviously with the losses that have been incurred by the club, there will be concerns from fans over league position, and then obviously the accounts having a bit less money, the budget. I guess there will be concerns from fans that those two things will add together and not come up with a very good answer.
I think I can't stress it enough, the point that I've just made is, if you get the most important thing in football is the recruitment. We believe we've got the right head coach who's made a really good start since he's been back at the club. He can get the most out of the squad that we put together. Him working with the director of football to make sure we've got that squad that we think's in the best place, And then it's about how do we get the best from those people. The loan market's always been something that we've done well in. We've got to make sure we do well in that again. And the players will be out there. It's just about finding them and getting them to play in a certain style and getting them to achieve as much as we possibly can. Will it be tough? Of course it will be. It's a tough division, but you get on a good run of form and who knows what happens. But right now we're just excited to see what the summer brings, excited to see who's out there and who we can bring in for the start of next season.
I know you won't give me an exact answer, but how competitive will the budget be?
The budget will be competitive for the size of the club that Shrewsbury Town are. We can't, if we're sitting out here, we're not going to sit here and say, oh, we're going to compete with Birmingham, or we're going to compete and name clubs that we can do that with. We're just going to do what was sustainable to make sure that we have a football club in 5-10 years' time versus what we've done in the past, which is try and go up above and beyond our means to be more competitive. We want to make sure that we're doing the right thing for the people of the town, for the supporters, for the chairman, for everybody that's involved with the football club.
Obviously the club went through a big change last summer, kind of a restructure, bringing in a director of football and a head coach. Would you say that's been a successful change?
I think it most definitely has, in terms of we had to communicate that from Mickey at the start to say that there will be players that are on different sets of wages versus the ones that were on before. We have to make sure that the people that we bring in fit within that, and the experience that we've got means that hopefully we can get those players to come and play for Shrewsbury Town and want to give their all and use this football club to put themselves on the map, to be playing in League One football. And that's where we are. The director of football model means that we've got access to different players that we might not have if you just had a manager, if you use that model. So yeah, the first year has been challenging at times because you've got the mix of two different strategies, but where we are now is looking forward is with the director of football and head coach model.
So you envisage that being a long-term thing now for the club?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at, I think when this was first announced, I think it was 12 out of 24 clubs in League One had this model. The last time, which I think it's like 18 clubs out of 24, it might have fluctuated now because of the situation that we're in, but that is the way that football's going. The way you can make money out of football is by the player sales model and actually extracting money from the pitch, and you've got to have that plan in place in order to do that.
I guess there's some questions that fans will be keen to know the answers to, that you'll be the perfect person to answer regarding season tickets. So firstly, how season ticket sales going?
They've gone really well. So we spoke to the fans, as we try to at every opportunity now, is to get feedback, because we're a club that relies on the supporters and what they give us, so we want to involve them in decisions. And when we first went to launch season, I openly said I think we only really have two strands to pull in terms of increasing our revenue, and one of them is through ticket sales and price increases. I made a point of saying that because I think it does sometimes have to happen, but we did go and listen to supporters who said, given the football at the time, we might look at a price freeze. We went away, we ran the numbers and said, okay, we'll do that. And the results have been fantastic. We worked with our stadium partner Crowd to come up with a digital marketing campaign. Our media team themselves do a fantastic job of promoting that and trying to reach new hearts and minds to get people on board. And the fact that every step that we measure ourselves against, so the end of the first window, the end of the second window, the end of the direct debit window, every time the number's tracking up is great to see. I think the fact that we brought back free kid season tickets hit the spot that we wanted to, because that is important. But the important thing to see with that is, even though the season ticket numbers are up 10% versus last year, despite us putting a price freeze through, and despite bringing back free season tickets, the average value of a season ticket holder has actually increased. So we're pleased with that, because it could have been the numbers have gone up, but the value's come down. Actually, the value's gone up and the numbers have gone up at the same time. So that's pleasing to see. What we've got to do now is make sure over this we get people on board as much as we can, even over the summer. If they haven't renewed already or they haven't had a season ticket, how do we engage those people to come down to the Crowd Meadow to enjoy it? And even if they don't want a season ticket, did they come to one game last year? How do we get them to come to 2 games this year? And if they come to 6 games last year, how do we make it 8 games next year? That's how that incremental ticket spend can help us on the top line.
Looking at a new kit, when can fans expect to see something on those lines?
Oh, we're really excited. I don't want to say exactly when kits have been launched in the past or give an exact date when ours will be here, because knowing there's all kinds of things with shipping out there at the moment that many of the business people listening will be familiar with, but we're on course for a really early kit launch this year based on previous years. We've deliberately not launched the home kit yet to show people what it is, so we can keep something in reserve. We involve the fans, as you know, in the away kit and the third kit, so hopefully we'll have some good sales as a result of that. And our partners working with Elite Pro Sports and Oxen have been really on the front foot in making sure that the kit comes here nice and early for us. So yeah, I'm not going to give an exact date yet, but we're on course for a nice early kit release this season.
Yeah, I think you said in a previous interview about renovations taking place over the summer. What are they?
At the moment, we don't know ourselves, based on, and I laugh as I say it, because if you could do anything and you got unlimited budget, you'd be doing everything. What we're trying to do is look at what can we do within the means that we've got, within the supporter base that we've got. We've got people within the business networks that are volunteering to come and help us give their time. We're currently in the process of renovating the old club shop to put that as an academy office, because we're bringing all the academy back down here onto the main club site to save money, because that is a big financial drain running an academy. By bringing people on site, we're thinking we can save money in that area. So first renovation that you'll physically see is what has been the pop-up shop, and thank you to the people that have been involved in that. It's been a big success. Is that will no longer be a pop-up shop, that will be an office that's being done by a club partner in exchange for advertising as a part of the business networks. That's when you start to see the plans come to life, you start to think, actually, that was why we did it. In terms of getting volunteers more wider involved and the renovations there's area of the stadium that we need to tidy up every year that we've previously paid for people to do, such as repainting the edges on the steps to make sure that things look nice and crisp for the new season. In the past, we've paid contractors to do that. We've brought people in to do the cleaning. We've now got a massive thank you to the volunteers that are there and that we've currently been working with, and hopefully the ones that will come in as a bit of an army in the summer to help us. They're not massive renovations. We're not building new stands or anything like that. We're just doing things that need to be done, but we're going to hopefully be doing them with a lot lower cost base than what we've had in previous years.
Can I see you out there with a paintbrush?
Oh, you've seen me out there doing worse, I'm sure. It's this is a club where everybody mucks in. It's you wear every single hat when you're in here. We've got play on the pitch the other day. We've got Andy Tretton's in there sweeping our commercial end, just sweeping out the one changing rooms to get one commercial partner out, the next one coming in. We're running around, and this is just giving this week as an example. We've had a really good success with a play on the pitch, and I've literally watched Andy with his bad knees running up to the DJ box because he forgot to press the button to get someone's stadium announcement music coming out, then come back down again, and we've both got our cameras out trying to get photos for the sponsors at the same time. So it's very much a case of everybody mucks in at all jobs, really.
Yeah, it's not long since the season's finished, but it feels like it's going to come around really quickly. We just had the announcement when the fixtures are going to come out, so it's all going to come around really quickly. How are you feeling looking ahead to next season?
Really excited. You're right, things just move at 100 miles an hour in football. We're now looking at who's re-signing, who we're looking at for the summer, and from my point of view, I get excited being involved in those conversations. But really, it all comes round to that day on the 26th when the fixtures are announced, and we start looking ahead to who's come up, what grounds haven't we been to, where can we go, who's going to be good, where have our former players gone, all those kind of conversations. That's what football's about. Football is about the fans and them getting excited, and us, we're all fans as well. Is when are we playing the big games? Who have we got on Boxing Day? Who have we got on New Year's Day? We all get excited about that, and the chance to, with the new, not really new anymore, but with the head coach coming back, and the positive start that he's made, I think all the supporters, the staff, the club in general are looking forward to the season and seeing what we can pull together. A lot of what I say might come across as a little bit dour and focusing on financial and sustainability, but above all, we're football people. We want the best for this football club. And if we all pull in the right direction, make more good decisions than bad, then we're already turning it around, but we'll speed up that process and hopefully get us back to where we want to be.
What would you deem as success on and off the pitch next season?
We can't qualify for the Champions League this year, can we?
I don't think so.
No, that's all right. No, I think like anything, it's boring answer, but to continue the journey on financial stability, we know this financial year ends in June again. It's about what can we do and what can we make happen on what we've got available. Working closely and getting everybody pulling in the same direction means that we'll be able to do that. And as a football club, just fighting the best we can and achieving the best we can week on week. It's pointless making a statement saying we want to finish this position or that position. Of course, we don't want to get relegated next season, but if you start that as a basis and then anything above that is a positive, I think that's a good place for us to be, considering we're still on that journey that we started out probably a year ago before I came in.